Hey everybody, it's Riley from the Cross-Platform Action Squad. So, a while back, my brother sent me this bracket that pitted cartoons against each other. This bracket only had 32 cartoons on it, which felt kinda lackluster to me. I mean, who the fuck watches Dr. Katz and Bob and Margaret? Why does Bob star in 2 cartoons? So I decided to make my own bracket consisting of 164 cartoons, just to make sure we had a lot more representation. I know that there's more shows than 164, but believe me, it's enough. And if you don't see your favorite show on here, then you either have shit taste or it's anime, which again, you have shit taste. I didn't choose the matchups in this bracket, it's all randomly generated. Also, this video is 100% my opinion, so fuck off. Let's begin this long-ass video. Okay, wow, the first matchup is a bit of a tough one already. Both are good shows in their own right, but I mean, when it comes down to it, I'd rather watch Ed and Eddie than Foster's. Next up are 2 shows that I've never really watched. I have to pick one though, so I'm gonna give it to The Loud House since it's Nickelodeon's first harem anime. This one is tricky. I used to watch Angry Beavers all the time when I was little, and I never really watched Space Ghost. I also had a Mandela effect moment when talking about an episode to my buddies with the Angry Beavers once. It was an episode involving a weird toe monster scaring the beavers, and none of them remembered this episode. Ended up finding what I think is the episode. It's called Up All Night, and the monster is called the Crawling Spleen. Anyways, I'm rambling. The winner is Angry Beavers because I'm not familiar with Space Ghost enough. I'm giving this one to The Simpsons because the replacements made me realize when I was younger that my name was more commonly used for girls rather than guys. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Okay, I don't even know what I Am Weasel is. I just put it on this list because I saw that it was liked, but I mean, I don't remember what it is, but I do remember having a crush on Ember McLean from Danny Phantom. Plus, her song Remember slaps. I watched a lot of Rocket Power growing up, so I'm gonna give this to Flapjack. So, I used to watch the old 80s TMNT with my brothers all the time, and I loved the older games, especially Turtles in Time. But the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty are just so super good and memorable. The only episodes of the OG Turtles that I remember are the one with the pizza sewer monsters, and there was this one episode with a little dino robot that ate mice, so I'm gonna give this one to Rick and Morty. Any kind of Justice League / Young Justice show bothers me because Superman sucks. He's overpowered and boring, and that goes for Super Lad as well. Ginger Foutley doesn't have to worry about this because she can be boring without superpowers. Both are funny and outrageous shows, and Grim Adventures gets bonus points for having thick waifu Eris in the cast. But I'm giving it to Rocco because Eris is nothing compared to Mr. Big Head. Catsworld doesn't hold a candle to my girl I mean Jenny. Literally anything is better than Johnny Test. The Butt Ugly Martians live up to its name by being actual eye cancer. I didn't grow up with Dexter's Lab like a lot of people I know. I understand why people like it, and I recognize that it's fun to watch, but I have so much good memories of watching Beavis and Butthead with my brothers, and it still makes me laugh to this day, so I'm giving it to Beavis and Butthead. I am unfamiliar with these shows. I do know that Braceface had an episode that was made by DeviantArt themselves that gave the main character huge fake boobs, so I'm gonna give it to Chip and Dale because they understood what their age demographic was. Never even heard of F is for Family. It's only on here because I kept the shows from the original bracket in this one. Either way, I love me some Scooby-Doo. Johnny Bravo is another show I didn't grow up watching, but after watching a little bit of it as an adult, I did find myself laughing a lot at the jokes. Despite the buzz on Maggie having a pretty dope opening theme, I'm gonna give it to my boy Johnny. Oh god, no, not Johnny Test! I love Gumball. It's a very creative show, and the timing for the jokes is fucking on point. So sorry, Ed and Eddie fans, I gotta give it to Gumball. Okay, let's be real. Avatar wins, no contest. This is a weird matchup. These shows came out at very different times in my life, but I will admit that Phineas and Ferb did a lot more with what it had than Thornberrys did. I normally like Matt Groening's work, but for Disenchantment he decided to make the show more story-driven than his other shows, but in the process he forgot to add the jokes. So Batman wins this round. The memes! I'm sorry, what the fuck is Cat Scratch? This one is gonna go to Mighty Magiswords because Vamber is a cutie and they didn't make a movie about nut people. House of Mouse is a really good idea for a show, but the actual practice felt kinda underwhelming. I'm gonna give it to Brandy Mr. Whiskers. This one I can't judge fairly. I never gave home movies a chance because of its horrendous art and animation, but according to my friends and brother, the writing and humor is on point, so maybe I need to give it a chance. Either way, Angry Beavers wins this one by default. Now people, I'm not bragging, but Animaniacs beats American Dragon. How the fuck am I supposed to compare these two? Like, oh, I guess I'll pick Metalocalypse because I still have nightmares of Baby Stew.
But I'm scared.
This one is a default win to PPG because I haven't seen Johnny Test. This one is gonna go to The Simpsons again, basically coasting on its old seasons. I could never get into the PJs. I'm not exactly the targeted demographic for this show, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Goof Troop wins. Darkwing Duck is the better show here, plain and simple, but for some reason, I have to give it to Aqua Teen Hunger Force because Carl makes me laugh and I love Dr. Weird.
It hungers for more!
A lot of people have this weird connection with Thundercats. I'm not one of those people. I recognize that it existed and that it was probably good, but I've actually seen and enjoyed Xavier. The first time I watched Xavier though, I hated it, until I kept watching it. Now I love the dialogue in this show. Xavier wins. Danny Phantom has absolutely nothing on Futurama. DuckTales is weird. It's like the original show was before my time and the new show is after my time. It's a good show and I've seen both the old and the new versions, but Recess is a much more enjoyable view in my opinion. The characters are more varied and memorable, so like, sorry DuckTales, you lose. He-Man was one of my brother's favorite shows growing up, and who doesn't love Skeletor? I'm still not even sure what Hi Hi Puffy Yami was, how, or why, or if it even existed. Fairly Odd Parents is going to take this W. The Fairly Odd Parents was just a better idea for a cartoon than Popeye. It opened the doors for more creative problems for the characters to solve, plus it was also a good example of how to ruin a show with its later seasons. Speaking of ruining a show with its later seasons, Steven Universe's ending was a huge disappointment. No, I didn't watch Steven Universe Future. After watching the shitty and pointless movie, I didn't want to put in the time. Flapjack is the clear winner. What the fuck is Bob and Margaret? CatDog wins because it's not a fucking clone of an already existing show. Mr. Pickles is one of my younger brother's favorite shows, but this isn't his bracket. If this was a bracket for the shows I quote most often, then SpongeBob would have already won this thing. SpongeBob wins. I love SNL, so I love Amy Poehler, and her Nickelodeon show The Mighty Bee was an okay show, but it didn't make a big enough impact on me as Rick and Morty did, so they get another W. This matchup is a joke. Kim wins. Moral Oral is a fucking funny show, but it doesn't have Carl Weezer, so I mean it loses. Hey Arnold, moving on. I don't know what Dr. Katz is. Ginger wins again somehow. I did not expect to see As Told by Ginger to make it this far. Alright, so I watched the first 3 seasons of BoJack. I think it was the first 3 seasons at least. The last season I watched had him dating that deer lady. I can't bring myself to like the show. I don't know, maybe I'm not sad enough to enjoy it or what, but I feel like the show is trying to say it's smart rather than letting the audience member realize that it's smart. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb and happy so I can't enjoy it because Tiny Toons wins. This is another default win, unfortunately. I haven't seen much of Camp Lazlo, and I did, however, see the first episode of MLP. I think it was one. Maybe it was the first 2 episodes. I think it might have been a 2-part episode. Either way, it wins. We Bare Bears is a cute little show, but it's just another one of those Cal Arts shows that are plaguing the world of cartoons right now. I'm giving this to the critic.
Rosebud Frozen Penis.
Fuck, dude, I adore both of these shows, but I found myself watching a lot of the older South Park episodes a lot, so I'm giving this to South Park. I hate Big Mouth. Cora wins. Daria is just Beavis and Butthead without Beavis and Butthead, and I once saw an episode of the Clerks animated show that had a funny joke in it, so Clerks wins. I'm not a fan of the X-Men in general. Sorry, fellow gamers. I do love me a good Brock Sampson, though, so the Venture Bros are gonna advance.
Ah! I thought the Cold War was over!
5 o'clock, get a call to go blading at the skate park down by the mall. But sadly I'm getting my ass beaten out by the superior Gravity Falls. Ren and Stimpy straight up don't fucking care. This show just does whatever the fuck it wants. Meanwhile, this other Cal Arts machine-produced show stands no chance against it. Ren and Stimpy get the W. Black Dynamite's visuals are fucking, well, dynamite. I love the use of color and intense shading in this show that has way more dick jokes than you'd expect, honestly. See that 2021? Oh yeah, that was about a scientist or something? Super Jail is an interesting show. Its animation style makes it look like it's constantly moving forward through its hyper-violent episodes, making it look like some weird fever dream. But Dave the Barbarian wins because I like it more. Ha! I'm not an ass man, so China, Illinois is gonna get another win from me. Adventure Time is one of my favorite shows of all time, so it's a no-brainer for me. I've never been a fan of Archer. I think it's overrated and very overquoted.
That's
I'm giving it to Courage because King Ramses gave me literal nightmares throughout my entire childhood. Wow, what a mediocre matchup. I'm gonna give it to Family Guy because I used to like it back when I was in its targeted 12 to 14-year-old age demographic. Regular show, hands down. I can't say I've ever been a large fan of dark child nipples, so I'm gonna give 2 honks to Doug. Drawn Together had a fun concept, I will admit, but it was a little too raunchy for me. Plus, I love Pendleton Ward, so Bravest Warriors wins. If you want a bumpin' theme song, then look no further than Chalk Zone.
Rudy's got the chalk.
Fuck! This music slaps my penis. What was the other show? Ugly Americans? Okay, give it to Chalk Zone. Mike Judge will always beat Seth MacFarlane in my eyes. Beavis and Butthead advance. I don't get Ninjago. Like, only the characters and other certain things are made out of Legos. Why even make a Lego show if you can't assure that everything will be made out of Legos? At least the games have fun gameplay to balance it. I'm gonna give this to Ebony Guy. The thing that makes Looney Tunes work for me is that I felt like I never dwelled too much on one character. They have a bunch of wacky characters thrown into one scenario and that's it. With Duck Dodgers, we are treated to just following one character the whole time, and that's when I realized I can only take so much of these characters until I start to get annoyed. And because of this, All Real Monsters wins. Weird matchup, but I'm gonna give it to Zim. I didn't mind the Total Drama series. I liked all the varied characters and how they were written to interact with each other. Also, it has a lot of porn. I know Gadget has porn too, but I'm not a furry. Total Drama progresses. This is another weird one. Tom and Jerry was able to stay fresh with every episode despite centering around the same conflict of Tom trying to eat Jerry, while Robot Chicken, on the other hand, felt stale with a lot of the same jokes being reused in a lot of different scenarios and characters. So I'm gonna give this one to T&J. I liked Uncle Grandpa's original pilot that was watchable online before Cartoon Network picked it up, but the actual show on the big CN ended up kind of an annoying mess. I'm gonna give this one to Harvey Birdman. I'm gonna give this one to Star. Moving on. I like Scooby-Doo too much to let this be a fair contest. The winner is Scoob. Boondocks is a fun show. I like it a lot, but Over the Garden Wall is such a fun and dark story that I love rewatching that I have to give it the win this round. Granddad will not stop me from giving the OG Teen Titans the recognition it deserves. Who honestly cares more about the Jetsons than Samurai Jack? I mean, really. Giving it to Samurai Jack. King of the Hill wins. GG easy. Mike Tyson's Mysteries. What? No. Bob's Burgers wins. Okay, KO is one of those CalArts shows that kind of annoy me. I'm giving it to Looney Tunes. You can't really go wrong with Looney Tunes. I don't really like both of these shows, but I'm gonna give it to Oblongs because at least it has some funny jokes in it. Gumball's charm and fourth wall breaking gags are great, but Avatar just does so much better and is the clear winner here. This one is tough. The animated Batman series was great. I loved it, and it was a great way to introduce newcomers into the Batman lore without being overwhelming, but I still love Phineas and Ferb for some reason, so sorry gamers, but I'm giving this to Phineas and Ferb. Spider-Man can't keep coasting on those memes, so I'm gonna give this one to C and K and D. Waifus aside, I find Mighty Magiswords to be annoying. It's kind of hard to make it through a lot of the episodes, mostly because of the narration, so Brandy and Mr. Whiskers is getting this one. Animaniacs coming in hot with Blony in their slacks. Angry Beavers can't compete with the colorful characters and awesome gags that made Animaniacs just so damn great. Okay, this bracket put Metalocalypse in some very weird matchups, and as legendary as the Powerpuff Girls are, I'm giving this match to Def Clock. Okay, I let The Simpsons coast a bit on their older seasons, but now we have an actual contender against them, and with their dying legacy pit up against the fucking Goof, this is where their time in the competition comes to an end and Goof Troop wins. Ooh, here's a solid matchup. Some late-night Adult Swim action. I'm gonna give it to Xavier in this round. As good as Recess is, it whomps in comparison to Futurama. I can't let Fairly OddParents get this far. Not after they introduced Chloe and that fucking dog. At least He-Man, or the Skeletor show, was consistent. He-Man is gonna snatch this one. I'm giving this one to Flapjack because I don't do enough drugs to get the full enjoyment out of Brad Neely's work.
John Candy!
Remember that one time Cat Dog had to sumo wrestle the Green Rabbit in order to get out of a restaurant bill or something? So they had to quickly eat more food to get fatter, and then this happened? Yeah, what the fuck? SpongeBob's the winner. I'm gonna disappoint all of those intelligent gamers again with this choice, but I'm choosing Kim Possible over Rick and Morty. Okay, seriously? This isn't even a contest, it's Hey Arnold. Ugh, I can finally get Ginger off of this bracket because it's nowhere near as enjoyable as Tiny Toons. It's funny, I wanted to give Jesse shit when I saw how far My Little Pony got on his bracket, but like, I kinda get it now doing it myself. My Little Pony doesn't have a lot of competition. MLP wins. Korra was good. It was a great way to continue the Avatar story, but instead of having likable child characters, we have melodramatic teens. And South Park's earlier seasons are enough to pull this win. Wanna know what Clerks doesn't have? Brock motherfucking Samson! Gravity Falls beats out Ren and Stimpy in my opinion. It's just the better show. Dave the Barbarian has better jokes and more enjoyable characters. It easily surpasses Black Dynamite. Adventure Time was such a solid show in its run, I have to give it the win, guys. Come on. Yes, I can finally take Family Guy out of the running. Courage is the far superior show. You know, maybe if Doug didn't convert to the dark side, that is Disney, and the outcome could have been different, but regular show was consistently better than Doug. Remember how one of the reoccurring characters in Shock Zone was a naked old lady in a bathtub? Yeah, Bravest Warriors wins this round. Just like that, Beavis and Butthead almost single-handedly takes Seth MacFarlane out of the bracket. Here's a rare good matchup. Both shows are good, but for me, Invader Zim had a much more entertaining show, both story-wise and art-wise. Tom and Jerry is a good show to turn on and instantly start enjoying. Total drama you need to watch from the first episode and then keep going in order to get the full experience. Doesn't mean it's better or worse, just an observation. I'm gonna give it to Tom and Jerry though, since it didn't have to rely on fart jokes like Total Drama did. I actually just watched Through Star vs. the Forces of Evil for the first time recently, and a lot of things conveniently happen in that show without any explanation, and it just left me kind of confused for the most part, so I'm gonna give the win to Harvey Birdman. I hate this, I love both of these shows, fuck! Over the Garden Wall does feature one of the best characters in a show that I've seen in a while, Jason Funderburger.
Hey, Sarah. Are you ready to go?
But I have to give it to Scooby-Doo. I don't know, man, I love Scooby-Doo. This is an easy choice for me, Teen Titans. I love both of these shows for almost the same reasons. They're great, but King of the Hill is better. I wish this bracket didn't have to match up these two because I wanted Bob's Burgers to get farther, honestly, but facts are facts, King of the Hill is the better show. I'm gonna do myself a favor and get the oblongs out of this bracket. Sorry guys, just not a fan. Don't worry guys, Avatar is better than Phineas and Ferb. I'm not insane. This shouldn't be a contest. Why is it a contest for? Codename Kids Next Door is the better show. I know it is. But I enjoy Brandy and Mr. Whiskers more while growing up, so I gotta give it to Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Okay, finally a better matchup for Metalocalypse, but unfortunately, it's gonna be its last because I prefer Animaniacs. So like, you know those late night Adult Swim shows that don't even feel like actual shows, and then we got Goof Troop that actually feels like a real show? Yeah, with that in mind, Goof Troop should win, right? Well, guess what? It does. Futurama may not have a Skeletor, but it can still be great as it is. Way better than He-Man for that matter. Futurama wins. These are very similar shows, but it's not a good matchup unfortunately. I've said that I love Pendleton Ward, but I have to give it to SpongeBob. Those first few seasons were just too iconic. Here's a good matchup. I like both of these shows. They're both iconic in their own way, and Hey Arnold even provided us with closure in a recent movie. But I'm gonna give it to Kim Possible because we didn't have to wait 11 years for closure. Finally, I can stop pretending to be a brony. Tiny Toons advances. The Venture Bros has Brock Sampson, it's true. But South Park is one of the best movie musicals I've ever seen, so fuck it, South Park wins. This is a hard matchup for me. I love both of these shows almost equally, but Gravity Falls' finite story that was great from start to finish is enough to send Dave the Barbarian packing. Two Cartoon Network giants squaring off here. I have to give it to Adventure Time though. Courage has a lot of memorable moments, but Adventure Time just has so many more stories to tell and more characters to tell them. Sorry, Courage. Regular show easily beats out Bravest Warriors. Bravest Warriors always felt like an internet pseudo show anyways. I do like Beavis and Butthead, but that is why I'm gonna give the win to them. I like it more than Zim. Sorry, high school girls obsessed with Gurr. This is where I have to start breaking down the show and looking at what they have to offer, and because of that, Tom and Jerry, while it does a good job staying fresh, it's not enough to beat Harvey Birdman. Fuck, everyone is gonna hate me, but I have to give it to Scooby-Doo again. Maybe if Teen Titans ended with the Trigon arc, then maybe it could have won. The Trigon arc was fucking phenomenal, but instead we got the underwhelming Doom Patrol arc and the movie that didn't do anything but put Starfire and Robin together, which I really didn't care about, to be honest. Here we go. This shouldn't be as easy as it is, but fucking King of the Hill is way better than Looney Tunes. In my opinion. Redemption Time. Avatar is way better than Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Opinion and fact. Animaniacs versus Goof Troop. Zany to the max versus Extremely Goofy. Animaniacs wins just because of the writing and gags. Animaniacs had a fucking Les Miserables episode, guys. I mean, come on.
Dig down, dig deep, Les Miserables.
This is where SpongeBob stops being good and its ink lemonade starts to leak. Have you guys seen the ink lemonade episode? It's disgusting. Basically, Patrick starts selling people Squidward's jizz and they drink it and they love it. First of all, South Park did it first, and second of all, Futurama wins. So, I'm pretty sure it's clear to everybody by now that I like Kim Possible. It speaks to my inner teen girl. Why did I say that? But I haven't talked about Tiny Toons that much, because there isn't really too much to say about Tiny Toons. I just like it. But I'll give this win to Kim. Alright, this is where Gravity Falls' finite story shines the brightest. I like it when shows go with a finite story in mind. It makes them so much more satisfying to watch. South Park is starting to see a Simpson-like shift in quality in their later seasons. I really hope they come back in the future, but for now, Gravity Falls surpasses them in my opinion. Oh wow, the big shows that basically rebirthed Cartoon Network. These shows go together like beans and memes. There is a time where you couldn't have a new episode of one of these shows without a new episode of the other, and they both had great endings. But my heart can only go with one, and even though I hate to see regular show leave, the win goes to Adventure Time. Why do I laugh so much at this show? For some reason, Mike Judge knows how to make me laugh. The win goes to Beavis and Butthead. Here we go. I have something to say.
And what I have to say will rock your world.
King of the Hill is better than Scooby-Doo. You can't compare Animaniacs to Avatar. Animaniacs was a sketch show. Avatar was an epic story. An epic story with actual consequences and likable and relatable characters, so I mean Avatar wins. I didn't expect such a weird matchup in this late bracket, but here we are. The characters in Kim Possible are nowhere near as funny and relatable as Futurama. Plus, Futurama's movie about time travel is leagues better than Kim Possible's. Gravity Falls and Adventure Time set out to do similar things. Tell great stories with likable characters and wrap them up in a big-ass finale. Gravity Falls' story felt kind of linear compared to Adventure Time, if that makes sense. Here, let me explain. I use this analogy a lot when I'm talking about Adventure Time. Think of the story of Adventure Time like a jigsaw puzzle, and every episode is a different piece. At the beginning, it feels like just a bunch of random stories and the pieces are just going in random spots. But then suddenly, two of the pieces tie in together. Then a cluster of pieces suddenly connect to another cluster of pieces. And you keep adding and adding until suddenly you're done and you see the big picture of the show. That's what it felt like when I first watched through Adventure Time, and that is why it beats Gravity Falls. Where were you during the battle of Mike Judge's masterpieces? I was here telling everyone that King of the Hill beats the fuck out of Beavis and Butthead. I have to address this. Futurama was not consistent with its characters. Remember that episode where everyone decided to be sexist for a day? They all got gender swapped and Matt Groening went for a ride on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey Epstein. Not kill himself. God, why does it have to be them? Adventure Time wins it. And before you get mad, I have to give it to them because King of the Hill is home to the single most annoying, selfish, conceited, and overall worst character in any entertainment medium. Peggy fucking Hill. I hate Peggy Hill. Next round, please. First off, I want to say that I love both these shows. It's probably obvious at this point since it's the final match, but whatever, fuck. Both shows are filled with fleshed out, likable, complex, and memorable characters. I've already said quite a bit about Adventure Time at this point, so let me just say a few things about Avatar. What hasn't been said about Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you haven't seen the show, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you should go watch it on Netflix right the fuck now. I'm told there was a live-action movie, but to my recollection, no such movie exists. Anyways, Avatar presented the conflict that the main characters must resolve within the first minutes of the show, and from then on we got an extremely epic tale told through well-written characters and extraordinary world building. All leading up to the epic 4-part finale that remains one of the best finales in a show that I have ever seen. The finale not only contains Aang's climactic fight with the Fire Lord, but also a fight between the super comet-charged Zuko and Azula that remains the most beautiful animated fight scene that to ever grace my eyeballs. This fight's visuals weren't the only thing driving this fight, it was also how far Zuko had come to that point. Starting off the show as this cold-hearted baddie boy, to sacrificing himself to save a girl who had only just started seeing him as a friend at that point. Zuko's redemption arc is incredible, and we can all thank Uncle Iroh, aka the best character, for that. Okay, now that's said and done, the real question is what do I like more, Avatar or Adventure Time? Adventure Time is still my favorite show to this day, and Avatar is the show that all cartoons should strive to be. I have to give this win to Avatar. It's the better show. I know most of the matches were based on my opinion, but I can't let Avatar come in second at this point. It's the best cartoon ever made. In my opinion. Those are my rulings. Like it or don't, whatever. I don't want to fucking keep you for too much longer. Join our Discord to tell me that I'm fucking wrong, and check the Twitter link in the description of this video if you want a copy of the bracket to do yourself. Until next time.